My mother kicked me out of the home because of the golden child. Growing up, my family was the textbook definition of dysfunction. On the surface, we looked perfect. My parents, two kids, and a dog living in a cozy suburban home. But behind closed doors, there was a clear divide. My younger brother, Daniel, was the golden child, and I was the scapegoat. If you've never lived it, you might think it's just a term. But when you're the scapegoat, it's a life sentence of being the problem, the burden, and the one who can never measure up. To start, Daniel could do no wrong. He was the pride of the family. Straight A's, star athlete, charming. My parents lavished him with praise, gifts, and attention. He got a brand new car on his 17th birthday, while I, at the same age, was lucky to get hand-me-down clothes and a lecture about not being entitled. My mom would bake his favorite desserts weekly, while I was once scolded for eating the last slice of bread because, according to her, I didn't earn it. It sounds petty, but those moments added up, brick by brick, until I was completely walled off from feeling loved. One memory sticks out. It was my 16th birthday. I was excited for once. I had saved up my babysitting money and bought a cute dress to wear. I invited a couple of friends over, and we had plans to go out for pizza. When I walked downstairs, my mom gave me a once-over and said, "You're really wearing that?" I tried to brush it off, but the sting lingered. Then Daniel came in. He was 13 at the time and had just won some middle school basketball game. My dad's reaction? He grabbed a cake, the one I thought was for me, and said, "We're celebrating Daniel's win. Everyone, let's gather around." My birthday turned into a party for him. My friends awkwardly sang "Happy Birthday" to me before leaving early, while my parents showered Daniel with congratulations. That night, I cried myself to sleep, realizing birthdays weren't even mine to celebrate. Then there was the time my grades slipped during junior year. I was struggling with anxiety and burnout, probably because I was doing all the chores Daniel conveniently forgot to do. I brought home a report card with a mix of B's and C's. My mom's reaction? "You'll never get into a good college with this attitude." Meanwhile, Daniel failed a math test around the same time, and my dad chuckled, saying, "Not everyone's a math genius." "It's okay, buddy." It was like living in two different families. Daniel got grace, support, and encouragement. I got lectures, guilt trips, and impossibly high expectations. If Daniel didn't feel like cleaning his room, my mom would tell me to do it because he's so busy with school and sports. If I protested, I'd get, "Why do you always have to be so difficult?" The breaking point came last year. I'm 22 now, and Daniel's 19. We both still live at home. Me because I'm juggling college and a part-time job, and Daniel because he's taking a gap year to find himself. Translation: he plays video games all day and occasionally goes to parties. One Saturday morning, my mom asked me to clean the entire house because we were having relatives over for dinner. I had a massive paper due and politely asked if I could do it later. Her response? "You're so selfish. This family does so much for you, and you can't even help out?" I ended up cleaning for 4 hours while Daniel sat on the couch, scrolling through his phone. At one point, I asked him to at least vacuum the living room. He laughed and said, "That's your thing, not mine." My mom overheard and said nothing. When the relatives arrived, my mom proudly showed off the spotless house and said, "Daniel and I worked so hard to get everything ready. It's been such a busy day." I stood there, stunned, while my relatives praised Daniel for being so helpful. It felt like I was invisible. After dinner, I decided I couldn't stay silent anymore. I told my parents how hurt I was, how I felt like nothing I did ever mattered, and how the constant favoritism was crushing me. My dad looked at me like I was speaking another language. "What are you even talking about?" he said. "We treat you both the same." Daniel chimed in, smirking. "Maybe you're just too sensitive." I snapped. Years of bottled-up frustration spilled out. I yelled, cried, and poured out every unfair moment I could remember. My mom's response? "You're being dramatic. You should be grateful for everything we've done for you." That night, I packed a bag and stayed with a friend. I didn't even tell them I was leaving. I've been couch surfing since, saving up to afford my own place. They've texted me a few times, but it's always about how I'm hurting the family or how they miss me. Not once has anyone apologized or acknowledged my pain. I'm not sure what's next. I'm exhausted, both emotionally and physically. But for the first time in my life, I'm starting to prioritize myself. I've learned that I can't change them or make them see the damage they've done. All I can do is move forward and build a life where I'm not constantly second place in my own story. To anyone reading this who's been in a similar situation, you're not alone, and you're not crazy for wanting better. Family should feel like a safe place, not a battleground. And sometimes, walking away is the most loving thing you can do for yourself. TLDR, my younger brother was the golden child, while I was the scapegoat who could never do anything right. Years of favoritism, double standards, and emotional neglect finally pushed me to leave. I'm now trying to heal and build a life where I matter.